Former Vice President the Dick Cheney has died, and the mainstream media is stepping in quickly with a monumental whitewashing job before the Republican Party tears itself in two. In fact, the threat of even more upheaval in the party caused former White House Press Secretary Dana Perino to go on Fox to defend Cheney's war crimes. I'm going to show that footage because it points up an enormous irony about the state of our politics and the mainstream media. CNN's coverage of Cheney decidedly repressed all the negative and outrageous things Cheney did, while Fox is out there airing his dirty laundry as a good thing. Here is Wolf Blitzer memorializing the man he never stood up to.
American politicians have no shortage of critics, and Dick Cheney was no exception. But there were just as many, perhaps more, who saw him as a resolute, disciplined loyalist who wound up becoming one of the most influential and powerful vice presidents in American history.
And here are just a couple of things that, Wolf left out of the story. That Dick Cheney led the charge against impeaching Reagan for his illegal Iran-Contra dealings. While vice president, Dick Cheney was so drunk he shot a man in the face, and the Secret Service prevented the local sheriff from investigating until Cheney was sober. Dick Cheney led the charge for lying the American public into a war with Iraq. Dick Cheney made conflicts of interest an acceptable practice for White House officials, giving out contracts to the company he worked for, Halliburton. Dick Cheney defended, demurred, and even denied that American soldiers were torturing Iraqi prisoners of war, especially at a facility named Abu Ghraib. Dick Cheney made torture a part of CIA interrogation techniques. Now, actually, that's all something that MAGA can get behind, especially the lying and disinformation. And Trump and Hegseth can point to all the crap Cheney did and say, see, there's precedent for what we're doing, blowing up boats without evidence. The problem for MAGA, though, is that as an establishment Republican, Cheney despised the MAGA movement and Trump. He despised Trump so much that he not only supported Kamala Harris, but made this video about Trump.
In our nation's 246-year history, there has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He tried to steal the last election, using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him. He is a coward. A real man wouldn't lie to his supporters. He lost his election, and he lost big. I know it, he knows it, and deep down, I think most Republicans know it. Lynn and I are so proud of Liz for standing up for the truth, doing what's right, honoring her oath to the Constitution, when so many in our party are too scared to do so.
Ouch. That's a pretty clear condemnation of Trump. That puts Republicans in a terrible conflict. If they praise Cheney, then they are condemning Trump. If they criticize Cheney, then they are admitting that the Republican Party no longer exists and has been replaced by MAGA. And sure enough, the negative social media posts about Dick Cheney are coming in from all over the right wing. Enter Dana Perino, who found the one thing that could unite the right wing: justifying torture. Watch this nauseating disgrace and betrayal of American values.
When I was White House Press Secretary, I think this was 2008, and I woke up to headlines in the New York Times that there was an accusation that a CIA interrogator had destroyed interrogation tape. So then I knew what my day was going to be like, and I didn't have all the information. Of course, the interrogation program was such a highly classified program. And that morning, before I briefed, everybody came to see me or had a touch with me. I ended up going into the Oval Office, and I saw the president. I saw the vice president. I saw the national security advisor. And I'll never forget the one thing that I was assured of. And they said to me, this briefing is going to be very difficult for you. I said, yes. They said, there's a lot of things you're not going to be able to say. I said, yes. And they said, but we want you to know something. In the days after 9/11, we asked our men and women in intelligence to do very, very difficult things. And they did them at our request and our orders. And we will tell you with 100% conviction that those interrogations saved American lives. And I felt my spine straighten. I walked out. I did the briefing, best briefing I ever did, because I was so assured by the courage of their convictions to do the right thing, the very difficult things, and always to protect the men and women in our intelligence. Now, you'll remember, President Obama wanted to prosecute them.
That's right.
And Dick Cheney, who always stayed pretty quiet, even President Bush stayed pretty quiet after the White House. The one time that Dick Cheney came out was to fight President Obama on that and to defend those men and women in intelligence.
And there you have the modern Republican Party in a nutshell. The complete betrayal of American values and its status in the world as the paragon of democracy and decency in an overly simplistic, the ends justify the means argument. What Perino identifies here is the seeds of America first. Nothing matters if it will save a couple of American lives and make us look tough. And then, of course, Perino just can't help lying about Obama, who issued an executive order to stop the CIA using torture and then refusing to prosecute those officers who had engaged in the process. But what does it say about Fox, MAGA, and the direction they are pulling this country in that it is somehow a criticism of Obama for wanting to prosecute CIA agents for torture? It tells us that we should sit back and watch Republicans tear each other apart while we usher in a blue tsunami. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. You'll not only help out our channel, you'll be taking concrete action and helping get rid of Trump and the MAGA movement who ushered him in.